Welcome to another adventure. Before the video starts, remember to leave a like and subscribe. Now enjoy the video. And remember to follow me on Twitch. We are gonna react to SCP-1762, Where the Dragons Went. Without further ado, let's try out.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-1762. Object Class: Neutralized. Previously safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1762-1 is held in a standard containment unit at Site. During the periods when SCP-1762-1 releases SCP-1762-2, video logs are to be recorded for future research. Although instances of SCP-1762-2 have been deemed harmless, they should not be allowed to exit their containment unit.
Okay.
Description: SCP-1762-1 is a plain cardboard box that is 32 by 20 by 26 centimeters. It is spray-painted silver on the interior and exterior, and the words "Here be dragons" are handwritten in black permanent marker on the lid of the container. Opening the lid of SCP-1762-1 when it is not in the process of a release reveals it to be empty. SCP-1762-1 will infrequently open and initiate a release of SCP-1762-2. During this time, the box will briefly emit a large amount of black smoke that quickly dissipates. It takes an average of 20 seconds for SCP-1762-2 to emerge after the smoke clears.
Okay.
SCP-1762-2 is the collective term applied to the beings that emerge from SCP-1762-1. All instances of SCP-1762-2 bear resemblance to various types of dragons in both Eastern and Western depictions, albeit in similar forms to that of origami models. Analysis of SCP-1762-2 reveals that they are composed of kami paper. After exiting SCP-1762-1, instances of SCP-1762-2 will fly together in large groups and interact playfully with any nearby personnel and each other. SCP-1762-2 vary in length from 9 to 30 centimeters and are capable of sustained flight once they exit SCP-1762-1, and have been recorded attaining speeds of 15 kilometers per hour.
That's pretty fast.
The number of SCP-1762-2 varies with each opening of SCP-1762-1, with numbers ranging from 50 to over 400.
Wait.
After approximately 2 to 3 hours of time spent outside of SCP-1762-1, all instances of SCP-1762-2 return and fly back into SCP-1762-1. During this time, SCP-1762-1 will once again begin emitting smoke, and instances of SCP-1762-2 will vanish after passing the rim of SCP-1762-1. SCP-1762-1 closes once all SCP-1762-2 have returned to it. The next date of release is inconsistent.
Now, I do wonder, do you think that personnel can enter the box when it's like smoky and stuff, you know? And go to the world of the origami dragons? I do wonder. I mean, it's more playful than, I guess, insightful, but it's a genuine, you know, curiosity. Because I gotta be honest, that would be insanely cool if it took you to a different world. But, well, as of right now, it looks like SCP-1762-1 is the box, and -2 is the dragons that come up out of it on irregular intervals.
A message, written or carved into a varying material, will sometimes materialize on top of SCP-1762-1's lid once the box retrieves all instances of SCP-1762-2. Attempts to send a message or recording device back with SCP-1762-2 have provided negative results.
Also no results?
These documents and their appropriate dates of appearance are being compiled and recorded.
Okay.
Addendum 1762-1. On 2000, SCP-1762-1 began to undergo a series of events that lasted 11 months and 28 days. These events, as well as prior incidents that led up to the beginning of the scenario, have now been classified under the title the Jabberwocky event.
Jabberwocky, okay.
Addendum 1762-2 Documentation of the Jabberwocky event. Document 1762-1 Date obtained 2004. This is the first recorded instance of SCP-1762-1 opening while contained inside. You have found us. Thank you. It has been so long since we last saw each other, friends. The peace has been upheld. The giants and behemoths have kept their word and have not caused any trouble since you last came and gave the order. We missed your company. How has your family been? Do you still know how to work your room? You are welcome to visit any time.
Wait. I am super confused now. Whoa. Is it the Okay, this might be the dumbest question in the world, but is it the dragon speaking? Wait, no fucking way. They mentioned some methods of communication, but I thought they were all negative. Did I just misheard? Who is he? Who is talking to who? Wait, I am so fucking confused, Doug. You have found us. Thank you. It has been such a long time. Like, what? Okay, I am thoroughly confused. I have no idea who's talking to who. It didn't mention anything about a researcher or anything like that. It's just... I don't know what this is. That's really weird. But this was the instance when it first opened. How can I put it? Is this like the first interaction with it? But that's weird. I didn't mention that it could speak though, I think. At least it seemed a little bit... I don't know. It just caught me a little bit off guard, I think. You know, suddenly there's like, oh, we have found you. Wait, whoa, I thought you were like paper origami dogs that could fly. Like, I thought you were like a paper dragon, dog. What, how can you speak? But I guess that's how it works.
Document 1762-4 Date obtained 2004. It's strange to see how much your world has changed. It is even stranger to see how we appear in this place. In fantasy, we are much bigger. Or maybe you have grown taller. Fantasy is still the same. We hope you can visit us like you used to. Though our room is as grand as ever, it appears yours has shrunken. We do not understand. The rooms were supposed to be maintained, as was our agreement. Please restore the belief.
Well, I'm confused.
Document 1762-6 Date obtained 2005.
Oh, I have an idea.
Only 20 instances of SCP-1762-2 appeared during this event. Said instances did not lift off, and instead walked slowly on foot for the whole period they were out of SCP-1762-1.
I have just by something that he mentioned there that I thought was like a little bit like, ooh, wait, what? It might be that it has indeed to do with belief. That belief itself in the creatures actually make them the sort of, not monsters, but the sort of creatures dragons used to be. They used to be like giant flying lizard eagles, dude, that bred fire. Because no one really believes in dragons anymore. They've just turned into paper origami. And it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of supported in the very next sentence. It's like, well, they didn't even fly at all. They just walked slowly. Like, they could only barely walk. But now, in later terms, they can fly and all this kind of crazy stuff, right? So that might be it, that when people believe in them, they get more power, if you will.
We apologize for our few numbers. We have had to remain in fantasy for quite some time. The others are growing impatient. We are trying to keep the peace, but please, for all of our happiness, repair the room quickly. We know you are trying. Your family is the most imaginative of us all. Document 1762-14.
What does he mean by that?
Date obtained 2000.
Keep keep your room.
Along with 10 instances of SCP-1762-2 appearing, 3 balls of yellow, crumpled construction paper were expelled from SCP-1762-1. These pieces were observed to shake violently for 5 seconds, then ceased all further movement. They were picked up by SCP-1762-2 and returned to SCP-1762-1. The Giants were foolish. Your room was not ready to accept them yet. We're sorry, friends. We hope that we can still see you, but time is growing short for our happiness. Document 1762-15. Date obtained, 2000. 5 instances of SCP-1762-2 emerged, carrying said document. They immediately returned to SCP-1762-1 after depositing it on the floor.
Ooh.
Tensions are rising. Fantasy is becoming darker. We, the serpents and the hybrids, are furiously trying to hold them back, but the giants and elves wish to strike and make an entrance. They say that your family has grown stupid and ignorant. We hope this untrue. It would sadden us all greatly to know that you have forgot.
Oh, so it nearly seems like the SCP-1762-1 is actually providing documents with this. So that's where they come from. That's where these statements and things come from. I didn't pick up on that earlier, but apparently they literally just come out and drop it, you know, like a written letter, it seems nearly, to the Foundation. At least that gives us some understanding of where the information and who is speaking is coming from. But I don't really get the link between this box, reality, and then fantasy. I don't fully understand that yet. I don't know what that plays like. I don't know how that really works out. I'm not sure. It seems weird to me.
Document 1762-16. Date obtained, 2000. A single red instance of SCP-1762-2 emerged from SCP-1762-1. Its wings were torn and it was noticeably crumpled. It collapsed onto the floor 1 minute later and did not move again. Upon its expiration, the body of SCP-1762-2 rapidly unfolded and revealed a message written on the white side of the paper.
Oh god.
War. Goodbye, friends. 2 hours later, SCP-1762-1 opened and emitted flames that reached 2 meters in height, and temperatures of over 1,700 degrees Celsius. Sounds of distant roaring were heard from within SCP-1762-1. At 2000 hours, a large amount of torn paper pieces and paper balls were ejected from SCP-1762-1. Several damaged SCP-1762-2 were also expelled and were deemed deceased upon examination. SCP-1762-1 continued to sporadically open and close for the next 6 weeks. During this time, it continued to emit fire as the amount of paper discharged from it steadily decreased. Matter resembling muscle and tissue was continuously expelled from SCP-1762-1 at increasing frequency.
He changed it there. It's now changed. Matter resembling muscle and tissue are now being expelled. So it's gone from... So has it stopped being paper and is now more biological? It nearly seems like it. Even though it might be paper, it's starting to be more biologically, like, you know. So it does seem like there's like been a huge catastrophe. A war like no other. That is really like plaguing this... whatever world is on the other side of the box. But yeah, but I have no idea how this world relates to our world though. I'm hoping it's something cool, like a kind of like a portal key, you know what I'm saying?
SCP-1762-1 remained closed and inactive for the next 7 months. Document 1762-17. Date obtained, 2000. This document was discovered lying inside the interior of SCP-1762-1. It was written on parchment and many of the words had been blurred or stained with blood.
Oh God.
Are you still out there, friends? We miss you dearly. Fantasy is no longer safe. Our haven, your beautiful creation, is gone. The giants are dead. The centaurs are dead. The birds have fled. We are going to bury your room. We cannot risk hurting you. This is our goodbye. Maybe one day, your family can build another room. This may be a hollow hope, but we will cherish this thought.
That's so depressing. Oh, no.
1 hour later, SCP-1762-1 began to shake and emit smoke for 15 minutes, after which it began to sag and collapse. Several portions of the box began to char and tear, creating small burn holes throughout. The words, "Here be dragons," on the lid of the box were burned away.
That is so sad! No! Why? So it seems like the world died, but they're speaking about it as making a new room. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I don't understand.
Document 1762-18. Date obtained, 2000. This is the final message obtained from SCP-1762-1. It was written in ink on a papyrus scroll, and also depicted a scene of a painted mountainous landscape filled with large trees and waterfalls. A single-winged dragon can be seen in the background. It appears to be flying away. The message is written in black ink in the bottom right-hand corner. Master says that we won't see you again. We are sad. So are the remaining others. We once filled each other's heads with dreams and goals. It's so sad that we cannot share them any longer. Master says we have to go. He says that he will make us a new fantasy. He says you cannot be part of it. We are sad. We love you. We will not forget you. We are scared. Will you forget us? Upon removal of document 1762-18, salt water began to leak from SCP-1762-1, and the burn marks that covered the container began to disappear. 3 minutes later, SCP-1762-1 had been restored to its original state. The words, "Here be dragons," were replaced with the words, "Here were dragons."
Okay.
The Jabberwocky event is declared concluded with this occurrence.
Oh, so that was the Jabberwocky event. That was a lot, but there's still so many holes left. There's still so many things that are unanswered. So we're just gonna have to keep going, really. There's not much to say. But I will say that is kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie. But it's mostly confusing. Like, I would imagine, like, as a researcher, you would just be like, wait, what the fuck is going on? We have no understanding what's going on. But it's strange that during the story, they didn't try to communicate back to them, it seems. I don't know why.
Addendum 3. Since the end of the Jabberwocky event, SCP-1762-1 has shown no further anomalous properties and has been declared neutralized. SCP-1762-1 and 3 deceased instances of SCP-1762-2 now reside in researcher Yoshihiro Takanaka's office for commemorative purposes. Addendum 1762-4. Update December 31st, 2015. After nearly 8 years of inactivity, researcher Takanaka reported SCP-1762-1 began emitting purple smoke and spontaneously opened at 2300 hours.
It's
falling
alive
to the
again.
floor. It dislodged a single chunk of crystal, later identified as amethyst, and a large leather-bound book. The contents of this book appear to detail various specimens that once lived within the world of SCP-1762-2, though from what the author has written, all organisms mentioned are likely extinct. This book is now classified as SCP-1762-BOL-1. The amethyst crystal had the following words carved into it. "One last time." After falling, SCP-1762-1 continuously emitted smoke for the next 40 minutes, before ceasing all activity. Upon trying to pick up SCP-1762-1, Takanaka reported that the box proceeded to disintegrate upon touching it. Its remains are now kept in a containment capsule in his office.
Oh, that is cool! Okay, so wait, does that mean it's alive again? Or was it only a last time like they said? But I gotta be honest, I'm getting like Narnia vibes from it, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know Narnia? They walked through like closet and it was like, ooh, what is this? Hello, sir. And it was like an entire different world. I nearly feel it's a little bit like the same. Just it does seem like more like a world creator standpoint. Does that make sense? Now, let's look upon the bright side. You know, maybe a whole entire world with thousands of different species, millions of lives have died out because we didn't fucking understand because we were monkeys, right? And kudos, you know, it happens, man. Yeah, it happens. But we do have a very detailed book, it appears, with the different species living there, and an amethyst crystal that came along with it. Now, the amethyst crystal was just a little bit of a message that was written on it, and that was about it, but there's something interesting in the book, and it's rather peculiar that it's amethyst, not paper, which means there's not just paper figures emitting from this place, but it's quite a lot more. And he's probably going to go into the book and like see what's up with the species and stuff. At least that's what I'm hoping. Wink, wink. I want to know. Please tell me. You know what I'm saying? I have a feeling it's like some type of Narnia stuff. But I mean, to be fair, it can't be too sad because they fled to a different place, right? That's what they said. The dragons went to a different place, or at least the beings inside there. And of course, like the centaurs were dead and the giants were dead and all that, which is a little bit sad, I'm not gonna lie. But the others, they fled with their creator. Or their master, was it master they said? To a different place. Which means motherfuckers might still be out there. I think that's pretty cool.
So it turns out, I actually have the book right here. I'm guessing you all want to know what's inside it.
Yes,
now,
please!
This book is classified SCP-1762 BOL-1. Well, BOL is an acronym for Beasts of the Old Letters.
Beast of
Let's
the Old
explore
Letters.
it.
Okay.
Shall we?
Yes. Yes, sir. That's a good name, by the way. Beast of the Old Letters. That's good.
You hold in your hands the paper keys. The keys that can unlock fantasy. When I first discovered this wondrous land, I could scarcely believe everything before me. The spiraling and floating mountains that reached so high that the rings of clouds were still below them. The great waterfalls that sprayed down from the ancient rivers that flowed through forests with trees wise and full of knowledge. The oceans with their golden beaches and cool, lapping waves that never roared nor stormed. And the life within, such unique and wonderful creatures that walk through this fantastic world. It took years for me to gaze upon them all. Who knows? I may have had more to see.
Oh,
I can't see them anymore, though.
This is good.
The land is now barren and cold. So empty and sad that even the icy ridge that lines the northern forests would offer more warmth. Everything has vanished. All the wonder, gone. All the vibrant and amazing things this world once had to offer, disappeared. I still wonder where they went. I doubt I will ever know. All I do know is that I have my books, my stories, and the memories that are already beginning to fade away as I grow aged and alone in an old man's mind that still believes a long-last fantasy may return. I don't think I'll live to see them come back, but I leave these stories to whomever finds them, so that they can know that they did exist.
Oh, somebody's using their verbal mega mind. That was good. I love that. The beginning was a little bit like, but then, I liked it a lot. That was good. That was really good. Holy shit. Okay, let's keep going.
Beasts of the Old Letters. Alifox. When dawn shines through the trees of the soft needle forest, you can find the Alifox humming through the giant lilies for a morning meal. A beautiful two-headed bird, slightly larger than a full-grown man, with downy rainbow feathers that quiver ever so slightly as they run through the warm morning breeze. The Alifox has 4 wings that are more akin to an insect's than a bird's, but they blend seamlessly with the back of the creature. They are jeweled and delicate, and they catch the early rays in such a way that they glint and shimmer. The Alifox's heads each sport a single large crest, which changes color from one bird to the next. Their eyes are round and a deep purple. Their beaks gold and slender. And their cries. The cry of an Alifox is sublime. A smooth, crisp, and echoing warble. The heads take turns as they call out. One rising, one falling. One rising, one falling. Alifox eggs are pure white until the chick comes close to hatching, during which they will turn vibrant shades of pink, green, blue, and gold. The chick is no larger than a hand, and like any other infant bird, naked and blind for a few weeks. The first coat of down is white as well, but as it grows older, colors will show through, layer upon layer, until a full array of hues coats the bird. I had the great privilege of seeing an Alifox nest myself, after many years of exploring the soft needle forest. Before, I had to rely on the records and drawings from the dragons. They are built on the ground, nearly as wide as a dinner table, interlaced with the branches of the thorny ivy to keep predators away from the chicks. The interior is matted with tufts from down the berry bushes. Indeed, the berries themselves are brought back to feed the young too. Of course, I could only marvel a few precious minutes before the parents returned, and proceeded to fiercely chase me away for a good quarter of a mile before they returned back to their eggs. Nonetheless, I felt a great deal of happiness, knowing I had witnessed such a rare sight with my own eyes.
Well, that's fascinating. Mate, so, okay, I'm gonna guess that most of the things that I mentioned now are gonna be the different beasts from this world. But I thought it was really interesting that it was the dragons that wrote it down. They recorded these different phenomenons, wrote it down, put it into records. It's quite marvelous, isn't it? It's a good idea.
Bunkles.
Bunkles.
An enigmatic, and dare I say frightening creature, the Bunkle is. The dragons themselves say they do not know how or when the Bunkles arrived in the Black Rock forests to the north, but they have lurked within those rugged trees for centuries now.
Ooh.
I dared not to travel into the Black Rock forests alone. That place crawls with the animals of the night, and is a place of mystery and fear. The good wizard, Garen, and the dragon, Darwinth, accompanied me all the way. I am forever grateful for their willingness and courage.
Interesting.
As the Black Rock forest loomed nearer, I began to remember tales of Bunkle encounters. Some poor brave soul who went exploring alone when the Ashen Trail was not yet made.
Is it like a
What
plant?
dreadful and terrifying experiences they must have been.
Yeah, it looks like a plant.
Half a mile into the trees, and the sunlight was already almost completely blocked out. We relied on the soft glow of the carpet moss and ringed mushrooms. The mosquitoes were vicious to the wizard and I. Another 15 minutes of walking, and we saw our first Bunkle. Or to put it more accurately, Bunkles. 5 of them, all hunched over as they crooned over a carcass. From the dim glow of plant life, I could see the muzzle of what may have been a wattle grunt. All of us halted, afraid to disturb the creatures. Easily 30, even 40 feet tall. A single clawed bird-like foot and leg that rose all the way, without any other limb or torso, until it connected with the head. A giant, rounded thing covered in thick, matted down.
So it's not a plant.
Their 2 enormous eyes that shone like moons, casting light onto the dead wattle grunt and illuminating the dead creature more than I would care to see. They say the eyes of a Bunkle hypnotize and put the unfortunate gazer into a state of shock and terror. Had we not immediately frozen, they may have turned to us as well. A Bunkle has two mouths, one giant seam hidden beneath its hairy head, filled with thin needle-like teeth. The other is underneath its foot, the toes acting as teeth that clamp and fasten onto flesh as the inner ring of jaws greedily bites off bits of flesh.
Oh god.
The sound that the Bunkles were making was atrocious.
Ooh.
We stood there silently for the next half hour. By the time the Bunkles began retreating back into the dark, the wattle grunt was unrecognizable, a pile of cracked bones and entrails. The dropper flies began falling from the branches of the trees above to pick at the few remains. We followed the ashen trail back into the clear, where a flood of relief greeted us. I would not return to the Black Rock Forest again for years.
Ooh. Those motherfuckers can leave me alone, dog. Are you kidding me, dude? They have teeth under their feet. Oh, they're like octopuses. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Jesus Christ, dog. But the creativity of the monsters is sublime, honestly. I find it amazing. It's nearly, you know what I'm getting the feeling of? Okay, this might be maybe not on that insane level, but to some extent, I feel like I'm peeking into like Lord of the Rings a little bit. You know what I'm saying? With wizards and dragons, scary creatures.
Charm changers.
Charm changers.
More akin to a spirit than an animal, charm changers nonetheless have a special place in the fantastic lands, and so I have included them in this book. With their intense curiosity and near limitless variety, charm changers can be found in any place so long as magic exists there. In their base form, they resemble wisps of pink, yellow, and orange light, sometimes looking like a human child, sometimes no more than an amorphous blob with two round eyes. They are very pure beings, and have an intense attraction towards materials used in spellcasting, with a particular regard for books and scrolls. As such, charm changers have been revered as guardians of magic shops, libraries, and rune spots alike.
Wait, there's been like...
Visitors and creators of such places would be wise to leave a small offering of some sort to the charm changers, usually consisting of a story, a carving, or a runestone. Charm changers will take such offerings and turn them into a vessel for themselves, thereby adding the offering's magical power to its own, and providing itself better protection for an otherwise delicate body. Those who keep charm changers happy are blessed with prosperity. Once appeased, charm changers are more than happy to assist those who visit or work in the place they inhabit.
Cool!
However, charm changers can be corrupted with offerings of dark subject matter, as well as being forgotten or neglected. Charm changers that suffer such treatment will become cursed changers, and turn otherwise benevolent places into areas of ill fortune and disease. Cursed changers are black, green, and silver, as opposed to their lighter counterparts, and once transformed, are impossible to change back. The most tragic incident of charm changers turned cursed occurred at the Library of Naught, where an offering of contaminated elixirs turned nearly 200 charm changers into maddened spirits that began to leak poison into the streets. The dragons were forced to burn down the entire library, incinerating the charm changers, along with hundreds of scripts and books.
Man, the man just dropped shops, markets, casually, dog. I was like, dude, I was for a while, just thinking that it was like, yes, I know it was fantasy, but I didn't know it was like kingdoms and stuff, you know, civilization. And apparently it seems like it has been. It also seems like the dragons were sort of the guardians of the light, if you will, in this world at least. Very nice.
Drop-off dwellers. At the edges of the coral flats, and Bountiful Cliffs, where the seaside takes a plunge into cooler waters. Pods of drop-off dwellers float and bob lazily in a peaceful slumber. They are shaped like a teardrop that grew immensely swollen on one side, with a small pointed tail that does little in terms of moving its enormous body. Dwellers rely more on the current to move than themselves, going for months at a time without food until drifting back to the fantastic lands. Easily up to 80 feet long, there are two distinct species of dwellers. The dwellers of the coral flats possess distinct growths on their heads, which are actually coral colonies that have fallen and become affixed during feeding times. Coral dwellers are a light blue color, with lighter rings dotting their backs.
So I guess they're like whales?
Cliff dwellers are a muddled brown, with much more numerous blue spots. Their tails end in a clump of streamer-like skin flaps that ripple and twirl as the dweller moves slowly through the waters.
Okay.
Dwellers come to the fantastic lands once a year, corals during the spring, and cliffs in the fall. At the coral flats, dozens of dwellers line side by side at the drop-off's edge, where together they inhale huge amounts of seawater, sucking down the old, dead, and leftover remains that accumulated over the winter. When they are done feeding on the debris, the reefs are once again new and ready to begin a new cycle of life. On the Bountiful Cliffs, dwellers spit out water high into the air at the fruit trees above, freeing hundreds of heavy trees from their burden and into their mouths. Life below also rely on the falling fruit for a final feast before winter comes, when they either must go on a long journey to warm waters or wait it out in hibernation. Regardless of which season, drop-off dwellers play a key role in making sure the coasts of the fantastic lands stay vibrant.
I feel like nearly they're like describing a huge ecosystem. It's pretty cool, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. The nerd inside of me is like, oh, this is nice. Though it's so distinct from SCP as I know it. You know, this is like its own entire aspect, its own branch. It's like Wondertainment just in one SCP, in a sense. I guess there's not really much to comment. It's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cool. We'll keep going.
The Eskelberg Forest. While not as large or dense as the Soft Needle or Black Rock forests, the Eskelberg Forest and its singing groves are a popular destination for commoners and explorers alike. Despite its name, the Eskelberg Forest is not actually a forest, and is instead a single large organism. Each of the trees in the forest is a runner sent up by a large and complex root system which is impeded in Eskelberg Peak. The trunks of these runners are hollowed out, and there are openings to the hollow interior on the tops and sides of the trunks. Air will often funnel in through the top opening and blow out through the side openings, creating a variety of tones. The leaves on the branches of these trees grow in a curled, funnel-like shape. The constant production of tones by the runners fills the groves with a flowing improvisational melody, providing a pleasant acoustic background for visitors. This constant stream of sound is then funneled into the forest leaves, into the center of the spirals where the air once again enters into the inner workings of the runners. Wood nymphs and scholars who have studied the groves believe that this constant passing back and forth of music between the trees is the forest thinking to itself. Among these, there is a small following which believes the forest is only asleep, and that the great wood beast will one day awake and rise out of Eskelberg Peak. The unique hollowed-out trunks of the Eskelberg Forest provide habitats for numerous small animals, including sizable populations of burnt waffle and zootru. The forest is also the only location in which the bulbnut squirrels are found naturally. This vibrant ecosystem makes the forest popular among amateur naturalists and seasoned explorers alike.
But now I feel like we're stepping so far out from the SCP thing that I'm not really sure. Yeah, like, just for the record, the next hour is plainly just gonna be these creatures. I'm not sure if I want to watch all these creatures. I gotta be honest, this is stepping a little bit far away from the SCP universe and the SCP things that I like and enjoy, and way further into fantasy, which is something I don't enjoy as much. I mean, it depends on where, but this fantasy I do not enjoy as much. So we'll watch one more, I think, and then I'll go next. I'll skip to the end.
Firemanes. Intensely proud animals. Firemanes roam the Jainu Plains in prides ranging from 10 to 15 members. Closely resembling a lion at base, firemanes are also named for the scarlet, iridescent hairs that ring the necks of both the male and female, and race down the sides and backs in horizontal stripes. This fur is highly prized as a material for clothing, though there are very strict laws placed on firemane hunting. However, unlike the lion, firemanes possess 2 pairs of antlers that rise regally from their heads behind the ears like a stag, and race across the savanna on 3 pairs of scaly reptilian legs. Firemanes love the thrill of the chase while in pursuit of prey, often purposefully letting the prey go should they catch it too quickly. While some may say this game of catch and release is cruel, it is nonetheless a fascinating spectacle to see as the firemanes become a flaming blur on the grassy fields. While not hunting, they can be seen racing each other, and if approached with caution and presented with respect, other beings such as wizards, elves, and even dragons. A lucky few have been blessed with the fortune of even riding them. A magician I knew named Jang told me his account of riding a firemane he befriended years ago. He said at first he held on for dear life as the beast took off, but as he gained his hold, it was an exhilarating and unforgettable experience. As he and the firemane raced through the night sky, they almost looked like a comet flying along the ground.
Now, I gotta be honest, dude, this is not something for me. To be honest, you know what it is actually making it a little bit hard for me to watch? Is that it's too fantastical. It seems too civil. The way that the world is presented, how progressive the people are, how well, what should we say, how well documented this is, how advanced it has become, and how, I don't know, I don't really like it that much. Like, when I do like fantasy, don't take me wrong, but in fantasy, I do feel that it's, in often situations, let's say Lord of the Rings, the orcs are actually a danger. They're actually dangerous. But here I feel like, it's like they're in a zoo. You know what I mean? I feel like this type of fantasy, I feel like I'm nearly walking through a zoo, and yeah, oh, there's a polar bear, but he's fat and doesn't want to move and is behind some thick ass glass dog, and it's like, well, it's cool, I guess. It's interesting. Don't take me wrong, I think it's very creative. It's really brilliant, and a lot of its descriptive manners, but it's not the type of things that I really enjoy. So we are gonna skip the next 23, 24, 25. There's about 25 more. I'm not really interested in watching all of them. I gotta be honest. Maybe there is indeed some beasts of the old letters that we find in our current universe, current SCP universe, and that's where they're from. I don't really know for sure, but it seems a little bit, it's a little bit much. I'm not that fascinated by it. I think it's well written, but it's just not that appealing to me, to be honest. So I think we're gonna skip all the way to the end. We're gonna stop at 32:30. And you can continue watching that on the original video if you want to, but I personally am not gonna watch any more of it because it's a little bit too much for me. I gotta be honest. Now the last one looked like a dragon, so I'll play the last like species and then listen to his outro, and then we'll see.
Zerolasp. In a fitting but bitter sense, the Zerolasps will be the last entry in this storybook, as they were the last creatures of the fantastic lands at the end of the war, and the first to die out in the new beginning. Although their bodies resembled that of a swan, their skin was more attuned to that of the pearl-crested dolphins that once swam the iridescent seas to the south. Their eyes were the deepest of blue, their wings forever softly shining like fluid ivory, their mouths a smooth, toothless bill that curved ever so slightly upward. They were capable of taking a human form as well, resembling angels and awing all those they passed.
Ooh.
As beautiful as they were intelligent, the Zerolasp were a vain and conceited race of creatures who forever squabbled with the dragons over whose wisdom and looks were superior, and so were disliked by a great number of the fantastic land's inhabitants, for whom the dragons were born leaders and advisors. As a result, the Zerolasp secluded themselves from all other beings for nearly a millennia, constructing a citadel of their own to live apart from those they deemed inferior. They ignored all pleas for help in times of calamity, and rejected all offerings of friendship.
So they're like...
It was not until the third
like
awakening
dragons.
of the lightning-struck Titan that the Zerolasp were seen again. Vamaroff's storm returned with terrifying ferocity, and the Titan rose with its strength multiplied tenfold. Half of the Magician's Council perished in the ensuing fight with the beast, along with nearly 100 dragons, 1,000 birds, and 1,000 more spirits, and still the Zerolasp refused to act. And so, the Maker himself came to the Zerolasp, his face dark with fury, his eyes normally full of compassion, brimming with icy rage. He spurned their race, accused them of being petty cowards who watched as their world burned around them. For their vanity, he cursed their citadel, enchanted it so that no Zerolasp could ever set foot in it again, then covered it in the ashes of those killed by the Titan as a reminder of the suffering the Zerolasp could have helped prevent. Overcome with despair of what they had lost and what they could have had, the Zerolasp vowed to never turn their backs on the rest of the fantastic lands again, and charged into the center of the Titan's path. Side by side with the dragons they once despised and the master they adored, the Zerolasp beat back the beast to its mountain once again. The Titan fell back into its slumber, but the grief and devastation brought about lingered for decades to come. The Zerolasp worked with renewed fervor in rebuilding to make up for all the time they had shut themselves away. They became the chief architects of the fantastic lands and filled this world with their incredible and intricate handcraft. This lasted for another 1,000 years, and life prospered. Another 1,000 years, and life prospered.
I gotta be honest, dudes, this is killing me. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Oh, holy shit, it doesn't stop. It's not ending, dude. It's not ending, dude. I don't know what to do. I mean, we're just gonna power through the last one, but this has been way too long for me. I gotta be honest, Doug. The first part, that was SCP. The second part, this is not really SCP. I gotta be honest. This is something else, man. It's a little bit unfortunate because it's like the SCP was really intriguing in the beginning, and I think this is to credit to a lot of the other SCPs too. When you don't know, it's more appealing. But once you get like a list of everything that's there and the story, it's like, you know what I mean? And I think that's also what makes Lord of the Rings so great, is that you kind of have to discover the story for yourself. It's not laid out. It's a little bit like, oh god. It's really heavy.
And less than 3 decades ago, the Great War began, and all the Zerolasp had, or ever would create, was destroyed in the calamity that followed. Once again, the Maker came, but this time his eyes held only grief, as he was forced to smite those who had fanned the flames of destruction. The Zerolasp desperately tried to bring back peace, but to no avail, and so they fell into despair. When the last buildings finally crumbled, the Zerolasp had turned black from the ash and smoke. Their blue eyes turned bloody red from grief. As the surviving others filed out of the fantastic lands, the Zerolasp stayed behind, silent as the stones of their cities, and within these ruins they remain, turned to stone as the sun sets for the final time and the world turned cold.
Cool. Sorry.
So, there you have it, folks. The last memories that we have of SCP-1762 and the land that they come from. Wait, what is that? What is this? Is this a containment breach? Tell me I'm not the only one seeing this. What does this mean?
What is this?
Does this mean they're back? You all seen the box materialize, right? That wasn't there whenever we came in here. It wasn't here whenever I was eating my lunch. I know that. I swear, if this is Takanaka playing a joke, he is dead. But if he's not playing a joke, that means I'm dead. Wait a minute. They just dropped a note. Let me get that.
Is this part of the actual SCP?
Oh man. This note. It says, "You didn't forget us." I guess whenever I read the book, the imagination triggered something. You know, my lectures never really end with a moral lesson, but because of all this, what the dragons have done, and for the first time in a year, I have ended a lecture with more people than I started with. Let's have a moral conclusion, shall we? And that moral conclusion is this. Never forget your loved ones. Keep them alive with your memories and your stories and your thoughts. Because if you do that, then they're never truly gone. Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are. And you are all dismissed.
Thank you. Ah! Sorry. I mean, at least it looked like he enjoyed himself, but yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I don't do things that are like cute, man. You know what I mean? I have like I can't, man. It's too much. It's too much. Jesus, shut up. But you know, it actually looked like the Vogue was really enjoying himself on this one. So you take what you can get. Sometimes it's not exactly your cup of tea, but at least we tried it. Personally, I did not like it. I don't know if that was obvious, but I didn't like it, dude. Yeah, I didn't. I don't know. It seemed like an interesting world. I don't know what the connection was between fantasy and the world. Perhaps it was something like, oh, your imagination of this world or your thought of this world itself sort of reincarnated and brought him back to life. I don't know. It nearly seemed something like that. But one of the reasons that I like SCPs is that they are dark. So, because when things are too fluffy, too good, because that's essentially every single fucking movie you watch. It's like, oh, it's a good ending. Again, dude. Why the fuck can't the bad guy fucking win once in a while, eh? Think about Dr. Doofenshmirtz, you know? Don't you feel bad for the guy? He should win sometimes, you know? I don't know, man. I don't know. When things become too much like, oh, for your loved ones and all this kind of stuff, it's a little bit like far-fetched for me. That's not how I operate, and it's not something that I particularly enjoy. I did find it like a really cool idea in the beginning. I don't know what the fucking last part was. I think it was just the Vogue having some fun, enjoying himself, which is, you know, fair enough. I do that too. Fully understandable. But it's not something that I particularly enjoy. It's not something... I gotta be honest, this is a little bit of a bummer. And I didn't know that most of the video is also just about reading about these different creatures. And we went through, I think, like 5 different creatures, man. Oh god. I thought it would be fun and interesting, but it turned out I didn't like it. Yeah, I didn't like it, dude. I don't know. I thought it would be cool, but I didn't like it. I'm sorry. I really didn't. And, well, you know. And I also think it's good to have a little bit of variance to as comparison and finding what you actually enjoy. I'm 100% sure there's a bunch of people, even people who watch me, who will really enjoy this kind of SCP. But to me, it seems more like somebody who wants to present a fantasy that is not really SCP. Regardless, though, I think it's a good experience. Especially, like, I don't know. I've always thought personally about writing fantasy, because I've always been like a big Tolkien fan. But it's like, so this is really good. Like, personally for me, it's really good to look through, because then I know what I like and what I don't, so I know how I can maybe do it when I'm older. But as of right now, yeah, that shit, oh god. I don't know. It was like listening to somebody read a Wikipedia, dog. It was a little bit too much to me, honestly. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And please comment some comments. What did you guys think about it? Am I just a big boo-boo head? Did I just miss everything that was important? Was my slight boredom and dislike in the video unjustified? If you think so, please let me know, and why. Because I really didn't get this one. I usually find them very fascinating. This one was meh at best. But thank you guys for watching. Peace.